places I could have ended up in this game. I end up fighting the goblin.
No, he's charging toward me.
This is it. Now all I can hope for is that he rolls off 15 or less. I'm assuming there are two types of people who are responding to this right now. The majority of you is probably sitting there like, what the hell is this guy even talking about? And then the rest of you guys are probably like, oh, I sure hope he doesn't roll a 15 or greater. If the rolling hasn't already given it away, the game I'm talking about is Dungeons & Dragons, which might have also been given away by the thumbnail. I didn't think of that. So I'm going to go ahead and make this as simple for you guys as possible by making a comparison. Who's one of the biggest companies in the whole of the RPG gaming industry? I ain't playing no games, so if you said Bethesda, then you're right. For me, the easiest thing to compare Dungeons & Dragons to is Bethesda's game known as The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which you have better heard of it. So the thing that makes these two games similar is that you plop yourself down on a world, and then from there you do whatever you want. The only difference is the people in Dungeons & Dragons are stupid and can't do anything without the hand of God coming from the sky and rolling a gigantic 20-sided dice. It's better if you experience it rather than me just explaining it. There's also this extremely grueling character sheet that you have to fill out. In it, you list a whole bunch of stuff like, what's your weight? What's your age? What do you look like? Give me your background. Tell me all your equipment. Do you have any treasure? Are you stupid? Are you smart? Do you got superpowers? What's going on there? Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up the basis of Dungeons & Dragons. But now, as any good storyteller does, I want to explain my experience with this game in just literally the last month or so. So basically, my friend DM'd me, and he said there was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people to see if they could become something more. We got our group together. We needed to see if they could work together when we needed them to fight the battles that some people never could. And yeah, so we met up to play Dungeons & Dragons, which, you know, at the beginning I thought was a super nerdy game, and I'm still not going to deny that it isn't. But it's kind of grown on me. So we sat down at the table with all our characters in hand, and we started explaining all the different things about our characters. Backstory, personality traits, and ideals, all that stuff. Now we're ready to start. So my friend, the Gate Master, Lore Master, Dungeon Master, the narrator starts explaining all the stuff that we need to do, so we start playing. So if my memory is serving me right, we were on this trail delivering supplies for a guy who was one day ahead of us on our way to this place called Faendal Village, something like that. And then eventually we come across a dead horse belonging to the guard of the guy that was way ahead of us. So Avalon, the dark elf who is neutral evil and steals from literally everyone he has ever met in his whole life, has to team up with the likes of Tenor Wintermore, the healing wizard, and a dwarf named Ivor in the shape of the Vikings logo. And it's our job to find out what happened to literally everyone who disappeared. So first we roll a few dice to see if we're able to discover a trail or anything that can lead to where they went. And then we end up at a nice old camp of goblins. So I did a barely minuscule amount of damage on one of them, and then I got my kidneys ripped out. And so I spent the next 4 or 5 turns screaming in agony as I bleed out, and my friends laugh at me. And then my friends dragged my lifeless corpse back to a place to rest, and when we woke up we went and found a merchant and we bought a whole elephant. Eventually we make our way to a cave full of more goblins and a big bad goblin, and it's my job to sneak in there and get the big scoop. So then we all go charging in the battle after I get all the info that we need, and my friends all failed me, and I actually took down the whole big guy all by myself. And then I was peer pressured into sharing all the money that I made except for a frog statue, so I wasn't too happy about that. And then, no joke, after skipping 90% of the story in the actual game, which I regret, we made it to Faendal Land. So as we walk in, we see this shop, and there's this church-looking thing, and a shrine, and a noble house, and so we went ahead and we walked into the shrine just to see what was going on. And then we were greeted by the nun from the movie Nun of 2018. So then my friend with a horrible stuttering problem tried to ask her if she needed any help, but he couldn't get the words out of his mouth. So I took over and asked in his place, and eventually we learned that there is these red group of bad guys who are in connection with a banshee, who is in connection with a necromancer, who's in connection with a spellbook, and I got confused and can't remember it all. So then we went off with the silver cone, and we realized we had to give it to the banshee, but would the banshee deny us? We would never know until we got there.
Could you seduce the
How are we
banshee?
supposed to
Question
handle
that we
the
have all been
banshee?
wondering.
Could you get the banshee seducer?
But she didn't want our.
How much you want to
bet
bet
that
that
banshee?
banshee?
My charisma skill, we were able to gather these parts. We went back to the nun. We gave her all the information. She told us to hide out. And then we had to go fight a band of orcs.
Shut up,
With those
Ogres.
ogres. Dungeons and Dragons.